in the middle of a global pandemic. You're in lockdown. 90% of your work is gone. You don't know where money's going to come from in the next couple of months. You're panicking, you're worrying, you're depressed, you're stressed out. Can't see the end of the light at the tunnel. But what if I told you, in the midst of all that chaos, could be your greatest ever creation? Here's how I made Project Stoic. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dani Waters, and for those of you that are returning, thank you for the likes and subscribes that you've given me so far. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you're not, just tell me in the comments how I can make this better. Like I said, I just want to share a few things that I'm passionate about, a few stupid and funny things. But yeah, if you enjoy it, comment below. If you don't enjoy it, just tell me things that I should be doing or how I can make things better. So today I'm going to be talking about something I created during lockdown. It's not finished by any means necessary. This is just the first draft, and one thing that I like to do with my creations is share the starting point of my idea, or share the starting point of first bit of movement that I've made, so that I'm able to get a bit of feedback and then move forward with maybe a new direction, maybe come with a bit of a fresher idea and not in the same headspace as I was when I first created it, and see how that's evolved. It's no way finished. No way finished. However, I want to share this process with you because I feel that I'm not the only one that goes through this creation bit of phrase, especially when things could be looking a bit negative in your life, things may be going wrong, things may not be going your way. However, there is light at the end of the tunnel. With your creations as well, you can go from feeling and then going even to bigger and better things. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm sharing this with you. So how I came up with Project Stoic. So lockdown was imposed in London about the end of March, and I was a bit blasé about it, not gonna lie. I was like, yeah, 1 week, maybe 2, 3 at a push. However, that wasn't the case, as we all know. But regardless of that, on the first week of lockdown, life started to impact me quite hard, I would say. So I was on tour with Just Us Dance Theatre doing Born to Manifest, which is an amazing show. If you have the opportunity to watch it, make sure you go and watch it. I'll put more details in the description box below. I know, YouTube life, right? However, with Just Us, they were uncertain about the tour continuing at the time because a lot of the theatres started to close along with the government guidelines. A lot of my teaching work stopped, unfortunately. However, some did move on to Zoom, and I may be able to share a bit of that later on. Also, I couldn't continue with my projects or my passion projects at the time because a lot of funding applications had stopped to support artists, which is great. However, I felt that I wasn't able to progress in the things that I wanted to do, whether it's to get in the studio and start working on Nani again. Hopefully I'll talk more about Nani in a later video. But yeah, happy Father's Day also, and just small little things that I had planned at the beginning of the year. And I remember it was the first week of lockdown, first day of April, and it was a grey day, and I was very stressed, very anxious, especially because I didn't know what was going to happen. I had to call my bank to get holiday payments. Everything was just felt like there's no way of seeing this out financially. All I could do is just be thankful that I was healthy and my family and close friends were healthy, but I still felt that conflict of, I need to do something. I need to keep my head above the water during this period. And I went outside. I mainly cut my grass because I realized I had to do some teaching online, and my house isn't necessarily the best to do the teaching inside of, because there's so many of us in the house and it can be quite busy. At the time, the Wi-Fi wasn't as great also. So outside is where I had the best signal and I could just be free. I had all the space in my garden to do so. And I remember it was the 1st of April when I went outside. It was a grey day, quite cold as well. This is just before the heat started heating up during April in England. Who guessed it, right? And what I tried to do was to plan ahead. So I had some videos in mind that I wanted to create with a few of my friends, and I just started making choreography, 4/8s, 8/8s here and there, to tracks that the beginning of the year I set out to create to, whether it be for stage, whether it be for digital content, whether it just be visuals, whether it be short films. So I just started doing that, and I just felt a bit demotivated because I thought, what was the point of doing this? How could I ever have a career where I'm unsure if my career will still be there after this? I felt devastated in a way because I wasn't too sure if these things that I was creating would ever see the day of light. Would I be able to share them in the capacity that I hope to share them with everyone, with you all? But I kept hope, and I just thought, you know what the heck? I have to find something to give me that motivation to get out of bed and to also get out of my mum and my sister's way. So I decided, because my birthday was the end of April, also do a freestyle for each day and post it on Instagram as just something fun, something silly. I will share all the freestyles that I've done hopefully later on. I'm still kind of finding the best way to release all of them, all 28 of those freestyles. So yeah, don't worry. But yeah, I did, I think 1 or 2 freestyles, and I was a bit like over myself. I was like, oh, it feels rubbish, doesn't feel great. And I sent them to one of my friends, and she was like, no, like, this is amazing. She really enjoyed it. But even that affirmation didn't necessarily make me feel better. I still felt that I was in my head internally going over the worries and the doubts of, I couldn't fulfill my dreams in this moment. I couldn't find ways to earn money through my passion or through my creativity as a dancer, as a creative. So that night I started listening to music, I was trying to find new music at first, but I think I just really wanted to just listen to a sound palette, something that, reflected my emotional state at the time. And I started playing NPR's Tiny Desk concerts with some of my favourite artists, which I enjoyed quite a lot, especially because it is quite minimal, it's quite simplistic. The setting, it's not so like, and yeah, I preferred that, and it was great. And I was sitting there, looking at a candle in my room, and then I started listening to Moses Sumney, who I kind of came across through James Blake's song Tell Them. And I was listening to his album, and the specific song Doomed kind of reached out to me because I felt it reflected the thoughts and feelings that I felt at the time. And the word stoic kind of reached out to me, and I started researching it, and I researched stoicism. And it's not something that I'm completely like, yeah, stoicism. No. But however, I do kind of understand its meanings and its metaphors. Like sometimes that we may need to suffer or go through some sort of suffering to um, get the best of our lives. For example, you may have to wake up really early in the morning, but the benefits of waking up really early in the morning is that you get to enjoy a great wow, enjoy a great sunrise, and you're able to get more stuff done in your day. Um, that might be a really lame example. I'm sorry for the Stoicism people. So yeah, so that's where I kind of reached out, and I kind of looked at the situation I was in with that and in life, and I felt, yeah, that it really did resonate with me, and I started taking pictures just randomly in my room. I had a little desk light set up, and I just took pictures of how I felt emotionally, how I felt physically at the time, and I kind of left it as that. I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, oh, just try something different. And what I did, I started looking at different ways how I could express this thing that I had, and it's. I started looking for more ways to express the emotion or the feelings that I had when I took the pictures. I didn't feel that the pictures were enough um, to share everything. And then I thought, let's just dance it out. I'm a dancer, I'm a mover, I do this all the time. And I went to my sister's room, put on this album, and I started dancing. And however, that didn't necessarily feel right. It didn't feel that I was really expressing everything. Maybe because I wasn't sharing that to anyone physically, which I normally do. Maybe because I'm in my house and I was being more cautious about banging and moving furniture around. I don't know, but it just didn't necessarily feel right. However, there were some movements that I quite liked, and I was like, okay, maybe I could develop it into something more. And then in my head, I kind of had it as we'll do this, we'll explore this later outside of lockdown. But over time, again, I still felt that I want to share this piece of art that I made just randomly. And weirdly enough, I started writing. And for people that know me, I'm not a writer. I'm not someone that would physically write. I will have all the most amazing ideas. I'll throw down the ideas to formulate a plan, but I will never write something as a piece to stand alone for itself. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a spoken word artist. I did enjoy writing plays or like creative stories growing up as a kid, but I never really took that for myself. And however, I started writing, and as I was writing, I started writing about how I felt during lockdown, the day that I started taking the pictures, um, the whole social distancing, isolating from close friends and loved ones. Um, yeah, just all the built up anger and hurt and disappointment that I felt during the time that lockdown had happened. And then coincidentally, the killing of George Floyd circulated and awakened the whole world, and this revival of the Black Lives Matter movement. I shouldn't say revival because it's always been going, but the social revival, the conversations, the protests, um, revived again, and that kind of took over my social media feed. And again, I started writing about that, and every time I looked at the pictures, I can see the conflict that I had inside of me. I wouldn't go out and walk and protest with my friends, but me being me, I would rather try to create work or implement within my work something that can spark the conversation to promote change, or reform. And I just started writing about that conflict that I had, that conflict of wanting to fight, wanting to scream, wanting to run out with that rage and be a part of the mass that were on the streets. But then the other side of me was find reason, find better ways to communicate. How could we find a more powerful way to communicate? And the other side of me is, then I don't vent, then I don't act out in anger, then I don't act out in haste, then I try to find reason, not only with the people who are rightly angry, but to find reason in myself, to find a way to create work, to create the conversation. And I started writing about that. I just kept continue writing different things, writing how I felt, writing about the whole cancel culture. Is it right? Is it wrong? Writing about myself as a black man living in Britain. And then I started focusing more on me and me as a creative, myself as a creative. I've always been that person to really create work with my heart on my sleeve. This is how I feel, especially in my early years as a performer. I kind of went back into that conflict because over the past year, 2 years, I stopped creating about how I felt, and I stopped creating about me in my moments of life. And again, it is just because it happened. It wasn't something that I said, oh, I'm gonna stop doing this. I just got more busier. I was working a lot more. I didn't necessarily have the platforms to share that, but I like to. And all the time, like if I'm working on something like Nanny or like Happy Father's Day, or if I'm working with another company, I'd always have that within those process. There would always be like a low moment where I'm just like, I just need to do this. I just need to take my mind off that and focus on what's going on in here or in here. And normally what I'll do, I'd take a moment, freestyle, get over with, blah. Or there would be like a community show where someone would want me to perform, and I would just do whatever and share that. And again, yeah, for the past year and a half, I haven't just been able to share a lot of those feelings or those doubts or those worries. And it kind of felt like a burden that I was carrying. Just be able to release, to vent. I'm not a person that would necessarily, like I said, go online and speak how I feel or shout out the rooftops or call someone and say, I'm having a bad day, can you help me? I would normally hold it and go through it, through the pain, and do something that helps me feel a bit better or helps me feel accomplished, that, okay, I went through this pain for a reason and now I'm at the other side and I feel much better. That's what just works for me sometimes, not all the time. Again, if you know me quite well, people refer to me as a beast. I don't know how that kind of got coined on me, but I just kind of ran with it, as I always do. And I started focusing on me and the beast because, again, I'm very multi-dimensional, and the beast is just one thing of my artistry, or the performance element of the beast is one dimension of my artistry. And I started talking about the conversation that I more or less have with myself to be a creative, what it takes, what it strives be that creative to go on and create work for justice, to create work for equality. And I'm writing the pros and cons as a creative, those reflections of the works, how people would see it. Would I get more work? Would I not get more work? And I just have those conversations with myself, and I'm writing down everything. And then I look at it, the beast wins. And that's why I kind of left it as that. And there's like a whole, say, page and a half, 2 pages of all these different things written down. And then I just started to create like a narrative and a story. I kind of took inspiration from my friends, Shaq Taylor, Edom, Wanu, Zach again, who are creative and imaginative storytellers. And again, I looked at their work and I looked at the things I had written down. I was like, okay, let's put this into something, whether it be some form of poetry, some form of spoken word, and if not, it's just an open letter to myself. And I started writing it, and again, I'm not trying to be that over emotional, over passionate person as I'm writing this thing. And then I remembered something that I read a few years ago by Erwin McManus, who's again a multi-dimensional person in himself. He's a pastor, he's a filmmaker, he's a designer, he's a songwriter, he's everything. And his book, The Arts and Soul, he shared a little bit about we as creatives create our most amazing works during the hard times or the bad times of our lives. And I felt that gave me the courage to share the work publicly through Instagram. So what I did, I made a little collage using Unum or I don't know how you pronounce it, but this is what it looks like. Yeah, I just created a little collage of the photos and just shared my writings with it. I'm not a sort of person that expects to get loads of feedback from people. And interestingly enough, like 2-3 people that I really care about spoke to me about it and shared to me how they felt. One of them being Charlene Carter, who said that it's so deep and I should write a lot more. Because I'm, like I said, not necessarily a writer, and she knows that. She's like, oh, what you wrote was dope. Like, continue it. Like, you should do more. You should try and do more. And even though she knew that it was more personal, that was very encouraging. Especially because, like I said, I'm not a person to share how I feel with words. It would always be through movement of somewhat. So another person that I had a conversation with was my dad. And I felt like that was the most encouraging or the most supportive feedback conversation that I had, which was very interesting because I don't necessarily speak to my dad a lot about personal things for some weird masculinity reason. However, like, I know that I'm always able to talk to him or to share with him anything. And he saw it on Facebook or whatever platform he saw it on. And he said that he felt quite touched because it is quite deep, and a lot of the things I was talking or hinting about, he had gone through himself during this lockdown period. Being a creative himself, being a DJ, someone that makes music, not knowing if, he would survive during the pandemic, let alone after it. And he really resonated with it, and like I said again, that was very, very encouraging, and like a moment of it was a moment of gratitude that I really appreciated. And I felt like as much as it was a very like subtle, oh, here's a bit of feedback, I really, really appreciated it to share that moment with my dad. And as my dad, the creative, he went on and he started sharing like more ideas, or like maybe you should do this, and maybe like this is what it needs now, like to go even further. And it really, again, very coincidental, there were certain things I was thinking about to extend its reach and putting it on other platforms, whether it be something more stop motion-y, or whether it be more dance movement, whether it be film, whether it be published in an art exhibition, I don't know. And he just started spitballing ideas, and like, as he's saying all these different things, like my head started just going, not of ego, but like the possibilities are much more endless here. And like I said, I really appreciated that moment. Thank you, Dad. And so yeah, and that's how basically Project Stoic came about, really. So yeah, like I said, it's an unfinished piece of work. If I ever say a project of mine or a piece of mine is finished, I probably lied to you, because there's either going to be a part 2 or like a trilogy, or I'll go back to the work and change elements, and I keep changing. I'm so sorry, that's just how I am. And yeah, so I don't know where it would go. If you guys want to have a look at it, I'll put a link below. Again, YouTube etiquette. I'll put a link below, and you'll be able to read it for yourself. If you have any ideas or any feedback for me on how I could improve it, or to work on my penmanship as a spoken word artist, I'm happy to receive the constructiveness. Yeah, let's help each other build, let's help each other grow. And yeah, but thank you guys for taking time out to listen. If you really did like this video, make sure you like it, share it with someone who, again, is going through a hard time and needs to find a bit of a way out of their creative black hole into a creative rabbit hole. Share this video. I don't know if it will help them, but hopefully they will know that they're not alone in this creative world. See what I did there? And also make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'll be doing a lot more content, a lot more behind the scenes vlogs about the work I've created. Hopefully I will do one on Dani and Happy Father's Day really soon, so really stay plugged in with that. There will be another Ray Roulette coming soon. You'll find out who my next victim is very soon. And also there will be the fun and games with my little sisters, Nevaeh and Tashana. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you in a bit, fam. Peace.